Hello, I'm Earl, and welcome to Earl's Live. I have a very interesting guest. My guest on the program is the State Secretary for Kingdom Relations. Madam Secretary, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
It's good to have you in the program. You're State Secretary Huffelen, and you've been State Secretary for how long now?
About 1.5 years now. So I started in January last year. Yeah.
So, as State Secretary for Kingdom Relations and Digitalization, what's it all about?
Well, it's about a lot of things. So digital and kingdom relations are quite different, of course. In the field of kingdom relations, predominantly, of course, it is my job to work together as closely as I can with the 6 islands in the Caribbean that are part of our kingdom, and make sure that the islands, and especially the people living on them, thrive, have a happy life, improve the economy, work on issues like renewable energy. But basically it's about close cooperation, as close as we can, in order to improve the lives of the people that live here on the islands.
Cooperation has been an issue for many years. I can recall back in the early 80s when there was discussions on the Roundtable Conference and so forth. And we fast forward to today, we still have the issue of cooperation between the Netherlands and the Caribbean part. And how you feel about that? Because it seems like there's always this tension.
Yeah, well, of course, we're just part of one kingdom, and that means that we belong together already for over 400 years. And what I find very important is when you truly want to cooperate, you also need to have room in your thoughts and in your acts for differences, because clearly the islands here in the Caribbean are not the same as a city of Amsterdam or Deventer or one of the islands in the Waddenzee. So we have to be, if we really want to cooperate, if we really want to understand each other, it's all about, getting to know each other better, listening, seeing how we can, work together in a way that is not always the same way that we do stuff in the Netherlands or stuff is done in Europe.
It seems like you're the first State Secretary that is genuinely involved in trying to bring these islands closer together with the kingdom. Is that an accurate assessment of what you're doing so far?
Well, I'm really hoping that is what it is, because I am very interested in what's happening here. The islands here are so special, and they're all very different, right? Bonaire and St Maarten are not at all the same, do not face the same problems, or have the same ideas and wants from the population. But what I find very important, and that is, of course, at the heart of what I find really important, is that people that live here on the islands can live their life in a way that they like, that they want, a prosperous life, a life that is as free from risks and harms as possible. Because, we all want to live a nice life, but what is defined as a nice life can be very different from where you live, whether you live here or you live in another island in the Caribbean or you live in the Netherlands.
There are a lot of cultural differences between us and the Netherlands, and so often we look at the differences and the tension that is there. And now that you're here for the 160th anniversary of the abolition of slavery, I think that sends a very important message.
Yeah, well, and it's, we can look at each other from, not being the same. And you can do that everywhere. I mean, also within the kingdom or within the Netherlands, you can talk about that I'm not the same as somebody who's born and raised in Friesland or in Limburg. What I like to look at is the things that, bring us together. And one of the things that brings us together is not only the fact of the structure of the kingdom, but what I see when I speak to people here or listen to children at schools is they all have the same dreams and aspires as kids have when they are living anywhere else in the world. Everybody's looking for, having a good life, a nice education. You want that for your kids. You want to live in a safe environment. You want a nice life. You want to be, have a life that also gives you the opportunity to do things that you like to do. You would like to live in a clean environment. those things are actually pretty much the same everywhere. The solutions are different because, we live in another part of the world, but also the way that we work might be different. And there we need to really and truly listen. And what you were saying about the abolition of slavery, this is, of course, a very important day. Tomorrow, Emancipation Day. It's being so commemorated and even also celebrated in many parts of the kingdom, and it's become far more important for a long time. And so also our prime minister, when he was making excuses for slavery past on December 19th, said that loads of people in the Netherlands have gone through a kind of a voyage on their own. They were not acknowledging very much that this issue is still so big, that there is still a lot of people who have great difficulties with the past, with the fact that they are descendants from slaves, but also that they feel that there are still today a lot of things that are chances that they do not have and they should have. That there's a lot of racism and a lot of things that shouldn't be there, and therefore I'm so happy to be here. My colleagues are also on other islands in the Caribbean. Of course, there's a big event in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, with the King and the Queen present. The King is also going to speak on this commemoration, which I find also very important. But I think now today we are far more acknowledging, and rightfully so, that this slavery past has still a great impact on the lives of the people that are descendants from the enslaved, and that we need to see that we need to work on that we need to understand it, in order to make sure that the lives of people that still have this great struggle becomes better. But also, on the other hand, to celebrate the ones that were very brave. The ones that resisted, that didn't follow the rules, the people that at the time were saying, this is not normal, this is not how we should live. And to celebrate their heroism is also something I want to do, and people want to do here, not only here, but also in the Netherlands.
What has surprised you most about your work now that you're coming back and forth to the islands?
I think what surprised me most is the very big difference between the islands, the Caribbean islands, as such. Because, as I said, it's not only they look different. I mean, also nature-wise, they're different. There's a big difference between Saba and Bonaire, for instance, or between St Maarten and Curaçao. But also people are different. Music is different. Culture is different. The way people... the way people organize stuff, but they're very different. And then again, also, when I was speaking to people, I was so, overwhelmed by how nice they are, how friendly, how welcoming, and this resilience that I see here in St Maarten. You're in a hurricane belt. There's always the possibility something might come, and then you're there to build up again. I see a lot of innovation. I see people that are very flexible. That is a quality of people here in the Caribbean that I like very much. Okay, then if it doesn't go as it should be or as it's planned, we can always do it differently, which makes you also very very, very nice to be around.
We had Hurricane Irma, and it was a disaster. And the Dutch government provided, I think, 550 million euros, of which 470 of that is being administered by the World Bank. How's that going so far?
Well, it was, of course, a huge disaster, and I wasn't here, but I've seen the pictures of almost everything being ruined on the island. And of course, it was very necessary just quickly after to help with the first aid that was necessary, but also then the Dutch government wanted to provide with money to rebuild the everything that was broken on the island, from the hospital to schools and homes and so on and so forth. And the airport and all basically. But we also wanted to make sure that this was going to be done in a very in a very good manner. So together with the government, we decided to set up this fund and also have the World Bank help us to work on the project. And what I see now today, it's loads of that has led to very good projects. So things have been rebuilt or are almost rebuilt, like, for instance, the airport or the hospital. Homes have been renovated. We've worked on the dump. We've worked on projects in order to encourage and help entrepreneurs to set up their business again. Schools have been renovated and so on and so forth. But what I like most is not only what has been done, is I like it very much that the idea behind it was not to build it back as it was, but build it back better. So, for instance, the hospital is a new building with all kinds of new facilities. The airport is going to be better than the one before, and so on and so forth. So what I like about that idea is that you use the disaster of this hurricane also to make, well, basically everybody's life better afterwards. Of course, we're not ready yet, and I hear people thinking or saying, why isn't it ready yet? And there's many reasons for it that we haven't been able to finish everything. It's, first of all, a lot of work. And if you want to build back better, you have to really think again, what is better? How do we like to change it? And also, all these capacity issues that you have on an island. I mean, you need contractors, you need everything, and not everything can be done at the same pace and same time. But I'm very happy that there's a lot of progress, and these days I'm talking to with the government and the fund, the World Bank Fund, about the progress of the project, and the desires that we have to stimulate new things going to be happening, like working on new homes, working on even improvement of the waste management project. Looking at finishing also the last projects that need to be finished. I haven't seen the airport yet in its full bloom and glory, so I'm looking forward to. I understand next year we should have the new hall, the centerpiece of the airport ready. So yeah, that's the things that I really hope that are going to happen soon.
I think the dump was a success story in terms of the fires. We don't have those burning fires anymore.
No.
But a lot of people are worried about the hospital that's being built now. Has that been brought to your attention?
Well, of course, people are talking to me about those projects, and that's of course very important, because I'm when I'm here on the island, I'm not here to only talk to officials. I really like to talk to the people that bring their concerns and their dreams and things they want to share with me. But yes, of course. The hospital project isn't finalized yet. Fortunately, we have been able to add some extra funds to it, also from the Dutch government, because building materials became more expensive because of the worldwide inflation and so on and so forth. Luckily, of course, you have a functioning hospital, very well functioning hospital. And I'm just happy that I'm seeing every time that I get here a bit more of the project off the ground, right? When I came here first, we were still walking on a very, very poor construction, and now it's already a step ahead. When I was driving down, I saw the project. And with the dump, luckily we don't have the fires anymore. But what I find important also to look at how we can, even reduce the number of debris that's being or waste that is being planted there, because it's still a waste dump in the middle of the island, in the middle of Philipsburg, in the middle of this very beautiful lake or pond. And I think we need to continue to look into that and work on that. And the same is, for instance, something that is not so much in the fund is working on renewable energy, because I was visiting your power plant, which is a very effective and efficient working power plant, but it runs on heavy fuel oil, which is of course not the cleanest source of energy that you can think of. I mean, we should look more, and that is also what the government is doing, into waste to energy, but also solar and wind. And my colleague Rob Jette, who's the Minister for Energy and Climate, also has been speaking to your Prime Minister about supporting projects in that field, and I hope they can be established soon.
I hope so too, because that power plant is not doing much about use of renewable energy or sustainable energy, and I think by now we should have had probably 10 or 15% of the energy produced being renewable or sustainable. So I hope that they're serious about that, because we have a history, Madam State Secretary, on this island of giving you a beautiful smile and telling you we're going to do it, and as quick as you turn around, the whole political issue comes back to play, and nothing happens. This has been a problem for many, many years now.
Yeah, well, what when I was visiting the power plant yesterday, I saw, of course, well, there's a lot of damage there also from the hurricane, but they have been able to produce energy for the island, which is important, of course, and they're doing so steadily every day, and they do, in that sense, they're doing a fantastic job. There's very little outages and so on and so forth. What is important now, of course, is to look into the future, and we need cleaner energy worldwide, but especially here, because small islands, are facing the consequences of climate change, not only because, there's pollution in the air and so on and so forth, but also because you see sea level rising, you see larger problems with actually climate, becoming more hot. You might end up with heavier hurricanes, or the problems that this island is already facing might even become, or are probably going to become, more difficult. So to work on that project is something that I would really want to support. I've been speaking to the Prime Minister about it, and she's really also determined to work on this. So I'm hoping that although with every big project in every country in the world, also including the Netherlands, you see people that are pro or contra, but basically if you find the right spots to put solar energy and wind energy, then you can become, the energy production here on this island can become far, more sustainable, but also cheaper, which is something that would be very important for the people that live here.
And I notice you use the term sustainable, and I think that's very important, because a lot of people, it's a big difference between sustainable and renewable energy at times. And for a small island like us, we want to focus also on sustainable energy.
Yeah, of course. Well, everybody wants to not only have clean energy, but also wants to be that, it should be reliable. You need it, right? For everything at home, at work. And it also should be affordable in terms of that people are able to pay the price for it. And I know that, in this region, and especially also in this island, prices are super high. So it's not only about providing, very super clean energy, it's also looking at the prices and making sure that people can afford living here. And this is also one of the issues that I'm discussing with the government, but also with entrepreneurs, is, what kind of economy is the economy that St Maarten is going to help, grow further economically, make sure that there's enough jobs, that we help people that are poor and maybe have to struggle with many jobs at the same time. And that economy is supposedly not only tourism, because we've seen, of course, in the period of COVID, which was a horrible time for everyone. But if you're an island with an economy very, very dependent on tourism, then you're hurt even more. So the idea of thinking of new ways to earn money is also something that I find very important, whether it's in, producing renewable energy, maybe even hydrogen that you can export, or in agriculture, producing more of your own foods, making sure that people can eat healthy but not super expensive, or stuff that has been important and lasts very short period of time in your refrigerator. So yeah, those are the things that I find important as well. Just look at the future and see what people are dreaming of and how we can establish and make sure those dreams are coming true.
I want to jump back to the trust fund and the 470 million euros because at times many people say it's a loan. And I had Mr. Johnson, who's a representative of Dutch government. He made it very clear more than a year ago, it's not a loan, it's a grant. So can you confirm it's a grant, right?
Exactly, yes. It doesn't have to be paid back, no.
All right. So, but there's other loans that have to be paid back. Am I correct?
Yes. So over the time, the government of St Maarten has lent money from the Dutch government. Also recently in the COVID period, and one of the things I was discussing this morning with the government, with your Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, was about the paying back those loans and how we're going to structure it into a deal that would be helping St Maarten to pay back their debts, because you don't want to be a country with loads of debt, but also to make sure that we do it in a way that still gives the opportunity to grow the economy, to make investments that are necessary, the investments from the fund, from the World Bank Fund, the Trust Fund, but also other investments in renewables, as we just discussed. Because that is super important. The growth of the country and the growth of jobs and the economy is should be number one, and then we'll see how the loans can be repaid in the coming years. But it will probably be a lot of years.
What's the amount that you all discussed today?
We discussed the Corona loans, but we'll be talking about other forms of loans also later on. But yeah.
And the numbers were in the high hundreds of millions.
Yeah, I don't know the number exactly, but it's a large amount of money. Yeah.
I think why I ask you that is that a lot of people are concerned that since October 10, 2010, we've gone from the former Netherlands Antilles of close to $1 billion debt to now there are all kind of numbers being thrown around in St Maarten that is over $1 billion in debt, and it's quite alarming. And at the same time, for a very small island, a lot of people are concerned. Maybe not the politicians are, but the average person who's familiar with things are concerned about that huge debt.
Yeah, well, if you look at the numbers in terms of what the IMF, so the International Monetary Fund, is saying, is that the amount of debt that this country has is still okay with the fact that you are a small island state. So I don't think there is any need for big worries. What of course is always important is that you do not increase your debt rate above a certain percentage, which is about 40 to 50%. But St Maarten is, I think, in a good position there. The importance is far more in order to make sure that you have and do the right investments, but also the right restructuring. So we, in our country packages that we discussed before even I was in office, but decided to maintain also with a mutual agreement that we closed this year. Is that you need investments to grow, you need reforms in order to make sure that you have a very good functioning government, that taxes are being paid, and so on and so forth. But all of that together, I guess, will help St Maarten to be a country that can healthily grow, and of course needs to. It's always good to look at if you need to reduce your debts. But the situation on other Caribbean islands is much worse than here.
The only problem is that there are a lot of people on this island today who are not happy that we have to run to the Dutch government all the time for assistance. And it creates an impression that we are beggars, that we can't do anything for ourselves, that we always have to rely on the Netherlands to take care of our financial problems. And I hope you understand what the point I'm trying to make with that.
Yeah, because I can fully understand that it's always nicer to be, super on your own and to be autonomous and decide everything for yourself. But that will be quite difficult in this world. So let me make the comparison to the Netherlands. So we are very dependent on the European Union. We couldn't, close off our borders, although we are a rich country and we have loads of sources and resources that we can use. But also for us, it's important to work together with, for instance, the European Commission and other member states in order to grow our economy, to make sure that we do the right investments, to have the right rules and regulations in place. That is something that I think will be in our cooperation all the time. But what I really hope that people are not seeing the Netherlands as this kind of, we are here to work together, to make sure that people's lives and dreams are going to be happier and better. And if we can work to help St Maarten or support or in what way, we'd be very happy to do it. And yes, sometimes we're going to be strict as well, like the European Commission can be very strict on the Netherlands as well if we don't do what they believe we should do or what we agreed on. But generally, I would say, I really like this idea of working together and continuously working together. Because I do not really see how St. Maarten could do it completely on its own. I mean, yeah.
I know your predecessor was complete opposite of you in terms of his approach to St. Maarten. You have taken a much more softer approach from our perspective. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not in meetings with you and the Prime Minister and her government. Is that correct, that you've taken a quite different, much more conciliatory approach?
Well, I'm sure that my predecessor and I are different people, but definitely it's also this government that I'm a member of who said, in our coalition agreement, we definitely said we need to support the islands, whether it's the best islands or the countries in the Caribbean far more. So that helps, of course. And then also, I'm a true believer in, you can be tough on what you would like to achieve, and I can be tough on what I would like to achieve, but still be a person that is friendly to people, because I do not believe that you should. I believe that this is the way that you need to work, and what I like very much is that I have very good relations. I feel that I have very good relations with basically all the governments in the countries, but we sometimes do disagree as well. So we have our moments that we are not agreeing, but so far we've been always able to strike a deal.
So, should I ask you which island you prefer, Aruba, Curacao, or St. Maarten?
It's kind of choosing between your children, right? This is an unfair question. No, the thing is that they're all so different. As I was saying earlier, that I really find it's so different. So I like different things on the islands, right? Yeah.
I think St. Maarten is the best.
I'm very happy for you that you live on the best island.
The best place in the world.
Yeah, but it is beautiful. Yeah. It is super attractive. It's a place that people really like to go to, and yeah, when you're driving around here, I've been also, when I was visiting with the King and the Queen, we've seen far more of the nature and culture, and it's superb, of course. And I'm also looking forward to tomorrow when we have Emancipation Day, which is, of course, a very serious moment when we're discussing slavery past and what we still see of the consequences today and what we should do together. But I've been promised also a lot of great music and dancing and people that are showing the best of this island. So that is great.
So do you have a message for the people of St. Maarten on July 1st that is important, you think?
Well, I would say that, from me or from my side and from the side of the Netherlands, I would say maybe for some people it would be like finally, but we're really hearing far better than we ever did before what the consequences of slavery past are still today. And we should discuss that far more than we have so far. We are very open to have that discussion, also fund projects, to educate people, to make sure that that we do far more in acknowledgement of the heroes, the people that resisted, in order to have that discussion. I'm really hopeful that people are coming tomorrow, and also that we are able to speak about what we should do in order to make sure that the problem, the fact that we that we neglected what has happened. We saw it, but we neglected the fact that there was still so many consequences of slavery past today. The fact that we are now also ready to have that discussion, and I'm hoping that we can have that discussion tomorrow as well, and in the coming time, because the basic consequence that we see worldwide, but also, of course, in the Netherlands, is that discrimination and racism should be erased from our society. And as I've been saying also, because I've been speaking to loads of children, and also recently in a university in the Netherlands, it should be gone in my generation. And I'm pretty old already, so we don't have a lot of time anymore.
Well, I'm still Secretary. I have to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue speaking with State Secretary Ms. van Huffelen right here on Oral Gibbs Live. Please stay with us.
Hey, don't guess about your insurance. Be sure that you're covered. Like with your car, like your home. Be sure to be covered in case of a fire, flood, hurricane, or some other natural disaster. And travel insurance, because you never know what could happen when you're on vacation. You could lose your passport, your luggage, or have an accident. So be sure that you're covered.
Insure yourself fast and easy with Be Sure from the Windward Islands Bank Limited. Visit your preferred WIB branch, WIB Insurance Services, or BeSureStMaarten.com. Get your Be Sure insurance at the Windward Islands Bank, your partners in progress.
For real? Somebody came in here and steal my curtains? Well, it's a good thing I'm insured with Be Sure, because even the contents of my apartment are covered. Don't play guessing games with your insurance. Be sure.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
My guest on the Oral Gibbs Live is State Secretary van Huffelen, and we're here to speak with her. So, Emancipation Day, 160 years celebration, and there also this movement of reparations. Have that been brought to your attention also?
Yes, certainly, and also that the 160 years is also different from place to place, right? Especially also on this island, of course, because at the time it was half French, like it is today, and people were, after enslavement was abolished in France or the French side, people left, of course, the Dutch side for that. But I have, of course, heard these talks about reparations. This is one of the parts of the CARICOM plans, for instance, or discussions that we also had in the Netherlands. And one of the things that really came to mind is also that there's a discussion about, reparations in terms of giving money to countries to, develop their economies or work on all kinds of projects, or more individual reparations. And from the Netherlands, we have been very clear. We have said we'd be very happy to help develop, especially also our own islands here in the Caribbean. But we are not seeing a possibility to pay back money to people individually, because we find that so complicated, because, there's people that are in their own, they're descendants from both slave masters and slaves and enslaved people and so on. So I really don't see it. And it's not just from a practical point of view. We were just saying, let's focus on making sure that we fight racism and discrimination. Let's work on development, more than just giving money to people individually.
Okay. So you visited a number of places this time on your visit, right?
Yes.
The World Bank office touched on, GBE. Any other place that you visited so far this time around?
Well, I went to see the government, of course, and I'm also going to do a bit more visits in the coming days. Well, basically, of course, tomorrow, loads about Emancipation Day, and we're going to the church in the morning. It's a very early start, I think 5:30 already. And then after, we're going to visit the boardwalk and see, and hopefully speak to a lot of people and see a lot of the culture of St Maarten. Of course, I'm also going to open the new office for the World Bank, something that they find also very important, and that's also something that I find important, that they have a base here on the island, not only to establish the projects that we are working on together in the fund, but what I see, and I'm very happy to see also that the so-called NRPB, so the project bureau that is working on establishing all of the projects, is there ready also to take on new challenges. I'm looking forward actually very much also to tomorrow, and I hope to meet a lot of your listeners and viewers in order to be able to speak to people of St Maarten and hear what they have to say. It's important times, so of course you're in the middle of the hurricane season, which also gives a little bit, or not even a little bit, sometimes a lot more of feel for, wow, we're in the middle of this island that could be hurt. But I'm also hoping to have discussions on what people would like to see for growth for the island, new economies, what kind of projects they envision, or just to have a chat, because to understand more of what's happening on this island is important also to have good discussions with the government and support them.
It's not oftentimes that we get a state secretary on the program to speak about the island, etc. What do you think that the people of St Maarten should know that they don't know?
Well, I just really, of course, I don't really know what they know, but I just want to express very much that from me as a person, but also from the Dutch government, that we're very happy to have our relationship, to be together in the kingdom, and that we really look forward to establishing far more projects together than we are doing today. The well-being of the people of this island, the ways that they can develop the school systems, the hospitals or the healthcare systems, are things that that we very much would like to to help develop even further. We and also I am very interested to continue to work on that with the present government, and after elections also with the new government, because as I said earlier in the program, I care so much about making sure that we can have people realize their dreams, and usually that means you would like to have a good life, a nice place to live, that your kids can go to school, that you can have a good job, that you can live of the money that you earn, that you live in a nice environment. Those things are, I would say, things that have been told by loads of the people that live on this island. And also that I am here to truly work on this issue of racism and discrimination, which is a very big issue in the Netherlands. I understand also here, and I would like to fight that with all of my might, because it should be, as I said, it should be abolished by the end of my lifetime.
Madam State Secretary, St Maarten used to be a very wealthy island. Today, we appear to be a very wealthy island. There's huge increase in poverty on this island. I don't know if you've noticed that, or if that's been brought to your attention, the increase in poverty.
It has, and it's one of the issues that more islands here in the region are facing, and basically that needs to be tackled. That needs to be tackled by, of course, organizing the basis even further, which is education, right? This is one step out of poverty, but also by making sure the economy is growing with jobs that pay enough, so you can live off one job. And of course, there should be support for people that are unable to work or provide for their own income. this is something, of course, that is at first one of the things that the government of St Maarten has to work on. But in order to, for instance, to increase economic growth, we'd be very happy to help from the Netherlands. We just established a fund for it. It's a 200 million euros fund that can be can help projects to grow the economy. Very happy that also from the trust fund, we're supporting smaller and very successfully also smaller entrepreneurs in order to set up their businesses and grow their businesses. Because that is definitely what needs to happen. The growth of the economy, of course, in a clean and sustainable way, but definitely also that next to making sure that education is in not only in order but of great quality, is of importance, and something that we from the Dutch government would really like to help establish further.
Well, I only have a few minutes remaining, so it's all yours in closing. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I'm just very happy that I can be here, of course, and happy to be on this island again. So this time, every time I actually see or find something new. So the last time I've been talking a lot about, building capacity on the island, making sure that you have far more people that find it interesting, even when they go abroad for studying or so, to come back. It's a great issue that I'm addressing together with also not only your government, of course, but our Minister of Education, because one of the things that makes it harder for people to come back is when they go and study in the Netherlands, they have student loans, and it's hard to come back. So this issue is definitely something that I'm going to work on in the coming time. This time I've been seeing very much, of course, of the funds of the World Bank and how it's making sure that St Maarten is going to be a better place to live, better hospital, better airport, and so on and so forth. But I've been seeing very much also that this time I've seen more of this need for economic growth, and I've seen also a lot more of the need when I was visiting GB about the necessity to invest in clean energy. So I go home after tomorrow with more ideas and more more discussions on these issues that are hopefully, and that's because I'm doing it all the time, of course, that we do find new projects and new ways that can make the lives of people on this island better. As I said, I hope to see a lot of people tomorrow, and all the plans and ideas they have. I'm very happy to hear that.
Well, Madam State Secretary, I want to thank you for being our guest and wish you much success. Right?
Thank you very much, and hope to see you tomorrow as well on the boardwalk.
See you there.
See you there.
And that's it for now, right here on Hot 99.9 FM, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm Roll Kip. See you next time. Bye.